Let me ask you something you probably haven't thought about in a while. When was the last time you felt truly, fully well? Not just functional, not just getting through the day. I mean genuinely energized, clear-headed, strong in your own body. If you had to pause for a second before you could answer that, stay with me, because this video is for you. Here's something that stopped me in my tracks when I first started researching men's health years ago. In most developed countries, men live noticeably shorter lives than women on average, and the easy explanation everyone reaches for is that men take more risks, men are reckless, men don't go to the doctor. But after digging into the research, I don't think that's the real story. I think the real causes are quieter than that. They're ordinary. They hide in plain sight inside habits most men never think twice about. My name is Melissa Carter, and I spend my time researching men's health so I can bring you what the science actually says, without the fear-mongering and without the shame. Today, I want to walk you through 5 everyday habits that researchers keep linking to shorter, harder lives for men. And I promise you, the one at the very top of this list is not the one most people expect. Most people guess alcohol. Alcohol is only number 5. Before we get into it, if this kind of honest, no-nonsense health content is useful to you, hit subscribe and leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. I read every single one. Let's get into it. Number 5. Alcohol. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, I've heard this 1,000 times, stick with me, because the real danger isn't the part most men assume. Public health researchers have consistently linked heavy, regular drinking to a meaningfully shorter lifespan on average. But here's the detail that gets missed constantly. It's not really about having a drink with dinner. It's about the pattern. It's the way so many men drink, holding it together all week and then going hard on a Friday or Saturday night. That binge pattern is what really overwhelms the liver. Your liver can only process alcohol at a certain steady rate. Push past that rate consistently, and liver cells start taking damage faster than they can regenerate. Inflammation builds. Fat starts accumulating in tissue that was never built to store it. And after 40, this recovery process slows down noticeably. The same night out that barely fazed you at 25 can do real damage at 55. It doesn't stop at the liver either. Heavy drinking is associated with worse sleep, higher blood pressure, lower testosterone, and more anxiety. Most men never connect these dots. They just feel a little off and don't know why. The fix isn't perfection. It's awareness. Build in a few alcohol-free days each week. Slow down when you do drink. Give your body a real chance to recover the next day. Small shifts, real results. But remember, alcohol is only number 5. What's coming next matters more. Number 4. Chronic stress. This one walks into conversations about men's health constantly, and researchers have ranked its impact on long-term health above alcohol in several studies. That surprises almost everyone I talk to. I've come across the same pattern over and over while researching this. Men in their 50s and 60s describing years of low-grade pressure that never really lifted. Work, money, family, always holding it together for everyone else. Nothing dramatic ever happened. Nobody called it stress at the time. They just called it life. That's exactly what makes chronic stress so easy to miss. Here's the key distinction. A stressful moment is not the problem. Your body is built to handle short bursts of stress just fine. The problem is when stress becomes the background hum of your entire life, a constant low simmer that never fully switches off. When that happens, cortisol stays elevated for far longer than it's meant to. Chronic elevated cortisol has been linked to a weakened immune response, tighter blood vessels, higher blood sugar, and disrupted sleep, even when you're technically getting enough hours in bed. Think of your body like a well-engineered machine. Short-term stress is like revving the engine occasionally. Chronic stress is like running that engine with no coolant. Everything still moves, but the parts are quietly grinding down. And there's a cultural layer here too. Many men are raised to push through, stay quiet, and treat silence as strength. So the pressure just builds with no outlet. Not a dramatic breakdown, a slow, invisible wear. The good news is that chronic stress has a real weakness. You don't need to fix your entire life to start healing from this. A genuine walk outside, an honest conversation with someone you trust, an hour spent on something that actually brings you joy, not just distracts you. These aren't luxuries. Research consistently shows they measurably lower stress markers. Give your nervous system permission to come down. Remember, that's only number 4. It gets more interesting from here. Number 3, social isolation. This one sneaks up slowly, which is exactly what makes it dangerous. In your 20s, most men have a full social world. Friends, teammates, people to call. Then life happens. Work expands. Family takes priority. Friendships quietly fade into the background. And one day, a man in his 50s looks around and realizes his entire support system has narrowed down to 1 or 2 people, sometimes fewer. We are not built for that. Humans are wired for connection, and when that connection disappears, the body actually reads it as a threat. It's not dramatic. It's not a crisis moment you can point to. It's just a slow narrowing that most men don't notice happening until they're already deep inside it. One of the most cited analyses in this field, looking at data from hundreds of thousands of people, found that weak social connection was associated with a substantially higher risk of early death, a level of risk researchers compared to some of the effects of heavy smoking. That comparison alone should make you pause. Unlike smoking or drinking, isolation leaves no visible mark. There's no diagnosis for it. It just creates a quiet emptiness. And that emptiness is linked to real, measurable effects on the body. Rising inflammation, a weaker immune response, harder to control blood pressure, self-care quietly slipping. Here's what matters. Social isolation doesn't just mean living alone, it means having no one you're honest with, no one who actually knows what you're carrying. The good news is your body responds to connection almost immediately. One phone call to an old friend, one coffee on a Saturday morning, one group or team you actually show up for. It doesn't take much, but it has to be real. And remember, this is only number 3. The next 2 matter even more. Number 2, not getting enough sleep. This one ranks above both stress and isolation in a lot of the research, and most men still treat sleep like a bonus round instead of a biological necessity. One more episode, one more scroll, a couple fewer hours, no big deal, right? Your body strongly disagrees. When you consistently fall short on sleep, your brain and organs are forced to keep working through the hours that are supposed to be dedicated to repair. Heart rate patterns shift, blood vessels stiffen slightly, blood sugar regulation gets harder. Sleep researchers have found that even short-term sleep restriction can noticeably reduce immune function within days. Multiple long-term studies have linked chronically insufficient sleep with a higher risk of cardiovascular disease and reduced life expectancy overall. Here's what makes this tricky. You adapt to feeling tired. You tell yourself you're fine, just a little sluggish, while your cardiovascular system and hormones are quietly working overtime just to keep you functional. The good news is your body responds fast when you give it a real chance. After just a few nights of genuinely solid sleep, 7 to 8 hours, people commonly report improved focus, more stable mood, and returning energy. Sleep isn't wasted time sitting on the sidelines of your life. It's the window your body actually uses to repair itself. To start tonight, keep a consistent bedtime, even on weekends. Put your phone down at least half an hour before bed. Keep your room cool, dark, and quiet. Cut caffeine after early afternoon. None of this is complicated, but it compounds powerfully over time. And now, the number 1 habit that researchers keep flagging as one of the most damaging for men's long-term health. It's not alcohol, it's not stress, it's not even sleep deprivation. It's sitting. Just sitting. I know that sounds almost too simple to take seriously, and that's exactly why it's so easy to overlook. Large long-term studies tracking sedentary behavior have consistently found that men who sit for most of the day carry a meaningfully higher risk of early death compared to those who move regularly throughout the day, independent of whether they exercise separately. The damage isn't visible. It's happening quietly, internally. When you sit for extended periods, the large muscles in your legs, some of the biggest calorie-burning tissue in your body, essentially go dormant. Blood pools in your lower body, circulation slows, insulin sensitivity drops, inflammation creeps up, your heart works a little harder just to keep blood moving through a more sluggish system. Here's the part researchers emphasize most. It's not just the total hours of sitting that matters most, it's how long you sit without moving. After roughly 30 minutes of complete stillness, metabolic activity starts to drop measurably. Use it or lose it isn't just a motivational phrase, it's closer to physiology. But here's what I actually love about this one. You don't need a gym membership or a whole new routine. You just need to interrupt the stillness. Stand up every 30 minutes and move for a couple of minutes. Take a short walk after meals. Even 5 minutes makes a measurable difference in blood sugar response. Take calls standing up. Choose the stairs when you can. Let movement weave into your day, instead of being something you have to carve out separately. When you step back and look at all 5 of these together, one thing becomes hard to ignore. Men don't usually lose their health in one dramatic moment. It erodes slowly, through small choices repeated day after day, year after year. Alcohol chips away at it. Chronic stress wears it down further. Isolation removes a layer of protection most men don't even realize they had. Poor sleep undermines recovery every single night, and sitting quietly compounds all of it. None of this means your life is already decided. Every one of these habits is something you can shift starting today in small, realistic ways. You don't need to overhaul everything at once. Pick one, start there. If this video gave you something to think about, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and drop a comment telling me which of these 5 surprised you the most. I read every comment, and honestly, that's usually where the most interesting conversations happen. Take care of yourself. You're worth the effort it takes.